We are now joined by Patience DeRue, a local historian with the Van Buren County Historical Society. You all have a really fun event coming up at the beginning of August, talking about a murder mystery all the way back in the early 1900s. We know that we've got a lot of true crime buffs now. People love a good murder mystery. Tell us about the event that's coming up August 3rd, right, Patience?
Yes, August 3rd, this Sunday. It's going to take place at the Lawrence Township Hall. That's 411 North Pawpaw Street in Lawrence, Michigan. So even though the Historical Society kind of runs the Van Buren County Museum, which I'm inside of at the moment, that's in Hartford, we're going to do the event at the Township Hall in Lawrence. But it's going to be super exciting. It's one that kind of grabs people's interest. Some people know about it. Some people know details, or if they live in Lawrence, they've maybe heard stories. So it's going to be fun to kind of dig into the details of it.
First, if you could, Patience, tell me about the Van Buren County Historical Society. What is it that you all do?
Yeah, so the Van Buren County Historical Society is an all-volunteer organization. They formed in the 50s, but the museum, as we run it as volunteers, has been open since 1974. So we just kind of hit our 50th year mark last year. So we meet monthly, but we do events in the community. We try to keep the museum up and running. That's our big thing because it's an old 1884 poorhouse building, the county poorhouse building. So just having it open as a museum is our main goal. But we just kind of preserve history. We have archives, but we do events and things like that too.
Wow, really cool to hear that this is all something that's run by volunteers. When we're talking about really important work, I want to talk about the importance of preserving these types of things. But first, let's get to the meat of this. I want to hear about the Dr. Six families. That's what this murder mystery is all about. Kind of give us the run of what this story was about and why we're still talking about them today.
Okay, yeah. So Dr. Six was a really well-respected member of the Lawrence community. So in Van Buren County, really well known as a physician. He came here right from med school and started his practice in 1897. So by 1913, when all of this is taking place, really well established, a member of the community, really well liked in all aspects. And he and his wife married a girl from Lawrence. He was from northern Indiana, but he settled here and married Bernice McCollum in 1898. So they had a daughter in 1902. So their small little family of Arthur, Bernice, and Dorothy, really well liked by everyone. Dorothy, sweet little girl, everyone loves her. So 1913, Dorothy is 10. They've been married for like 13 years. Yeah, and then all of a sudden in February of 1913, February 6th, there's a fire at the Dr. Six home, and he's out on a call. It's really early in the morning. And by the time he comes back, the house has already been engulfed in flames. He comes to find his wife and daughter over at the neighbor's house because they've been rescued from the burning home. But his wife has already passed by the time he gets back from this visit to a patient. And his daughter's there but unconscious, and she shortly passes. So those deaths of the wife and the daughter, Bernice and Dorothy, were kind of what were really traumatic at the start. And then there's lots of rumors starting to swirl because even though he's respected, there's like, well, did he start the fire? Is there something going on there? And so about 5 weeks later, he ends up taking his own life. And there's a lot of division in the community. They're like, oh, it's all because of these rumors, and he had nothing to do with it. So yeah, it gets a lot of hype at the time, and it's still kind of not forgotten now.
Wow, what a juicy story, even for 1913. I'm sure that's why people are still so fascinated now. Can you speak to, how rare or common it was at that time for there to be talk of possible murder or this type of scandal in a town in 1913?
Yeah, I don't know that it was common necessarily. So something like this kind of gets hyped up as like a big case. And the thing is, it wasn't necessarily a murder case to begin with. It was just sort of those rumors that swirled after the daughter and the wife died. And the rumors are actually what caused a fire investigation into the home. The home was insured for $4,000. It was a really big home in the community. It's mentioned as like a palatial mansion in newspapers. And so it was actually the fire investigation based on these rumors that kind of led to further investigation. So by the time he takes his own life, the fire investigation and everything else has gone on, and actually sort of what maybe instigated taking his life, whether it's known or not, as absolute fact, is the sheriff and the fire investigation investigator were supposed to meet with him at 1 p.m. on that day.
Wow.
And he took his own life shortly before that meeting was supposed to take place. So there's all those questions. You're like, did he just not want to face it? Was he just tired of these rumors? And so murder charges didn't actually come into play. They didn't do autopsies on the bodies until after his death. So these are like posthumous, I guess would be the word I'm like, the posthumous murder charges. He wasn't around to face or answer these, and so that's why it gets uh, unusual in that aspect, I think.
Wow. So if I'm understanding it correctly, he was supposed to be meeting with authorities at 1 o'clock that day when they realized that he died by suicide, and he didn't necessarily know it, but those charges were coming. They did eventually come. And so there was something there that had investigators thinking maybe he was involved.
Yeah, exactly. The fire investigators didn't want to pay out, and so other authorities got involved. And it was actually the day after his funeral. So he took his life a few days later. There's the funeral. The day after his funeral, they exhumed the bodies of the wife and the daughter to do autopsies on. And that led to eventual murder charges.
Wow. And the mystery really sort of deepens beyond that. There's another player involved in this story.
There is. So Onalee Stevens was a local school teacher, a little bit younger than Dr. Six. She was in her late 20s. He's in his like late 30s. Um, so she was actually a school teacher and kind of from the area, had moved back to the area after school, but kind of taught like home ec type classes, domestic science classes. And it didn't come out until after all of this, and when this dug in, that very likely, and according to her later confession, she had a little relationship on the side with Dr. Six in the fall of 1912. So months, just a few months before all of this tragedy happened. So yeah, she's an extra player in the story.
Yeah, and really all of the puzzle pieces that make such a fascinating murder mystery. Even today, you've got a prominent family, you've got a love affair, you've got multiple deaths, surely a story that's drawing in a lot of interest. So the chat that's coming up with the Van Buren County Historical Society, how can people get in on that, and what can they expect from that chat?
Yeah, so it's a free event. They just have to show up. It starts at 2 p.m. at the Lawrence Township Hall. So we'll be just set up as kind of like an hour-long talk as it's scheduled. So I and maybe one or two other people, depending on who all is able to actually show up. But for sure, two of us from the Historical Society will be presenting this. So we'll have slides of like a lot of pictures of the Six family and then some other relevant places, buildings, and so forth. So yeah, they can come and see that, hear about it. We'll have info into like the different aspects of it, the poison that was suggested, the autopsy report, things of that nature. So just it's free to come. We'd love for you just to show up at 2 p.m.
Excellent. Well, outside of it just being a juicy, salacious story, I want to go back to the importance of the work that you all are doing, not just surrounding the Dr. Six murders per se, but just in preserving the history of this area. Talk about why that is important and how it continues to benefit the community, that you all are making sure these stories are not forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the goals of the society when they formed in 1956 was just to have a place to preserve the history. And so that's been an ongoing thing where people have heard about us, and it's just picked up since then and never stopped as far as people donating items, whether they be documents or physical items. Our museum building itself is where we house everything that we have. And so the building has 44 rooms. All those rooms, with maybe one or two exceptions that are still being worked on for exhibits, are filled with items, anywhere from like kind of a general store setup to like a millinery shop, or just all kinds of things that kind of interpret the building and just the history of the area. But the archives is a great source too. A lot of that is just documentation. So we welcome people to come in and do some of their own research. We have things boxed in archives, maybe related to just the town or schools, all within the county. So we focus on Van Buren County, but there's so much history to see or to dig into if you want to research.
All right, such important work, Patience. I really appreciate your time. I think it's a really fascinating conversation you all are planning to have coming up August 3rd. We'll be sure to put all of those details on our website, 13onyourside.com. Thanks again, Patience.
Thank you so much.